In the quiet town of Ifelodo, Bimbo was a happy girl living with her loving parents, Mr. and Mrs. Akobi. Her father was a doctor and her mother was an accountant. Their home was filled with love, laughter, and care. But one evening, everything changed. Mr. and Mrs. Akombi called Bimbo to the living room with serious looks on their faces. They had gotten job offers in another country, jobs they could not refuse. But it also meant they could not take Bimbo with them. Bimbo, her mother said softly, "We love you very much. This is a big chance for us, and it is for the good of the family, but we can't take you with us right now." Bimbo felt sad, but she nodded. "Where will I stay, mommy?" she asked, her voice small. "You will stay with your aunt Mayowa," Mr. Akombi answered, trying to sound positive. "She is your family and she will take good care of you. You will be with your cousins, Bimpe and Bumi. It will be like living with another family." Bimbo tried to smile, but deep down, she felt worried. She had met Aunt Mayowa and her daughters a few times, but they never seemed very friendly. Still, she trusted her parents. The day her parents left came too quickly. Bimbo watched through her tears as the taxi drove away, leaving her on the porch of Aunt Mayowa's house, holding her suitcase. Mrs. Mayowa, her father's young sister, greeted Bimbo with a tight smile. "Welcome, Bimbo," she said shortly. "Come inside." Bimbo walked into the house, feeling nervous. The house did not feel warm or welcoming. Her cousins, Bimpe and Bumi, stood nearby, watching her without smiling. "Hi, Bimpe Bumi," Bimbo said, trying to sound happy. "I am glad to be staying with you." Bimpe, the older one, gave a slight nod, while Bumi looked away. Bimbo's worry grew stronger. As days passed, Bimbo realized that living with Aunt Mayowa was nothing like what her father had imagined. Aunt Mayowa was strict, always giving orders in a harsh tone. Bimpe and Bumi, who were quiet at first, soon started to be mean to her. They made it clear that they did not want her there. It started with little things. Bimpe would hide Bimbo's things, and Bumi would laugh as Bimbo searched for them. They would take more food, leaving Bimbo with barely enough to eat. But Bimbo kept quiet, hoping things would improve. But things only got worse. One morning, as Bimbo got ready for school, Aunt Mayowa called her into the living room. Bimbo and Bumi were sitting there, looking pleased with themselves. "Bimbo," Aunt Mayowa began, "I have been thinking, your parents are no longer here to take care of you, and it is hard for me to take care of another child, so I have decided you will stop going to school." Bimbo's eyes widening, in shock, but Aunt, why? She asked, her voice shaking. "You need to help around the house," Aunt Mayowa said coldly. "I have to focus on Bimbo and Bumi's education. You will stay home, do the chores, and start selling goods in the market to make some money." Bimbo felt like her world was falling apart. School was the only place where she felt lower. She could not imagine leaving her friends and teachers. "But Aunt," she began, "Mama and Papa wanted me to go to school. They said education is important." Aunt Mayawa's face turned hard. "I don't care what they wanted. You live in my house, and you will do as I say." Tears filled Bimbo's eyes, but she knew she could not argue. From that day on, her life changed completely. Every morning, while Bimbo and Bumi put on their neat school uniform and left for school, Bimbo had to go to the market with a tray of goods on her head. She sold fruits, snacks, and other things, working under the hot sun all day. She saw her schoolmates passing by, looking at her with pity, but none of them stopped to talk to her. In the evenings, Bimbo came home tired, but she still had to do a lot of chores. She cleaned, cooked, and washed clothes for everyone. Even though she worked so hard, Aunt Mayowa was never satisfied. She always found something to criticize. Bimbo and Bumi made fun of her, calling her the housemaid and the market girl. They showed off their new clothes and talked about their school. why Bimbo felt sad and missed her old life. Even though things were tough, Bimbo tried to stay hopeful. She remembered how her parents had told her education was important, and she dreamed of the day they would come back to take her away from this nightmare. She imagined herself going back to school, sitting in class and answering questions. But as time passed, Bimbo's hope began to fade. Aunt Mayowa did not change her mind, and Bimbo felt stuck in a life she did not choose. The once happy and cheerful girl became quiet and sad, feeling like her spirit was being crushed by everything around her. Yet, deep inside, she held onto a tiny bit of determination. Bimbo knew she could not give up. She had to survive. No matter how hard things were, she would keep going, hoping that one day things would change. And so, as another long day in Ifelode came to an end, Bimbo lay on her tin mat, staring up at the ceiling. She whispered a silent prayer, thinking of the parents she missed so much. She hoped they would come back soon, but until then, she had to keep going. For Bimbo, this was just the beginning of her journey, and even though she did not know what would happen next, she knew she had to stay strong. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Bimbo's life with Aunt Mayowa and her cousins became even more difficult. The little hope she had was slowly slipping away, and every day felt like a never-ending struggle. One hot afternoon, Bimbo was at the market, selling oranges. The sun beat down on her, making her feel dizzy and weak. She had not eaten much that morning, as Aunt Mayowa only gave her a small portion of food after feeding Baby and Bumi. But Bimbo knew she could not leave the market until she had sold everything on her tray. As she stood there, a group of her old schoolmates passed by. They were laughing and chatting, dressed in their school uniforms. Bimbo quickly turned her face away, hoping they would not see her. But it was too late. "Hey, isn't that Bimbo?" one of the girls asked. "It is," another girl said, surprised. "What is she doing here? Why is she not in school?" They walked up to Bimbo, who felt her face burn with shame. She wanted to disappear, but she could not move. "Bimbo, what happened? Why are you not in school anymore?" asked Donna, the girl who used to sit next to Bimbo in class. Bimbo looked down at the ground, not knowing what to say. She did not want to tell them the truth about Aunt Mayowa and how she was forced to stop school. "Are you okay, Bimbo?" another girl asked, noticing how thin and tired Bimbo looked. Bimbo nodded quickly, forcing a smile. "I am fine," she lied. "I am helping my aunt at the market now." The girls exchanged worried looks, but before they could ask more questions, Bimbo's aunt, Miss Mayowa, appeared out of nowhere. She had been watching from a distance and did not like seeing Bimbo talking to her old schoolmates. "What are you doing? Standing around and chatting?" Aunt Mayowa snapped, glaring at Bimbo. "Get back to work. Those oranges won't sell themselves." Bimbo quickly grabbed her tray and walked away, her heart pounding. The girls watched her go, feeling bad for their friend, but not knowing how to help. As Bimbo walked through the crowded market, she could not stop the tears from rolling down her cheeks. She missed her parents so much. She missed school, where she could learn and be with her friends. But most of all, she missed the way her life used to be before everything changed. When she finally got home that evening, Bimbo was exhausted. Her legs ached from walking all day, and her arms hurt from carrying the heavy tray. But there was no time to rest. Aunt Mayowa was waiting with a list of chores for her to do. "Bimbo, sweep the entire house, then wash the clothes," Aunt Mayowa ordered, not even looking at Bimbo as she spoke. "After that, start preparing dinner." Bimbo nodded quietly and got to work. She swept the floors, scrubbed the dirty clothes, and then moved to the kitchen to start cooking. All the while, Bimbo and Bumi sat in the living room, watching TV and laughing, not lifting a finger to help. As Bimbo cooked, she thought about her parents. She wondered if they were thinking about her, if they missed her as much as she missed them. She thought about the promise they made to her before they left, that they would return and everything would be okay. But as the months dragged on, Bimbo started to doubt if that day would ever come. Aunt Mayowa did not seem like she would change her mind about Bimbo's situation. And with each passing day, Bimbo's dream of going back to school felt more and more impossible. After dinner, while the others ate at the dining table, Bimbo ate alone in the kitchen. She was not allowed to eat with Aunt Mayowa, Baby, and Gumi. Aunt Mayowa said it was because Bimbo was a servant now and did not deserve to eat with the family. Bimbo ate a small portion of food quietly, swallowing both the food and the tears that threatened to spill over. Later that night, as Bimbo lay on a mat, she heard Bimbo and Bumi talking in the room. They were excitedly discussing a school event that was coming up. Bimbo closed her eyes tightly, trying to block out their voices. It hurt too much to listen. As she tried to sleep, Bimbo thought about how different her life was now. She used to be happy and carefree, surrounded by love. Now, she felt like a prisoner in Aunt Mayowa's house, with no one to turn to and no way out. But even in her darkest moments, a small part of Bimbo refused to give up. She had a strong spirit, a strength that Aunt Mayowa could not take away. Bimbo knew she had to find a way to survive, to keep going, even if it felt impossible. One day, while Bimbo was at the market, she overheard some women talking about a new teacher who had just moved to town. They said she was kind and helped children who were struggling with their studies. Bimbo's heart skipped a beat. Maybe this new teacher could help her. Maybe she could find a way to study again, even if it was not in a school. The idea gave Bimbo a little bit of hope, something she had not felt in a long time. That night, as she lay in bed, Bimbo made a promise to herself. She would find this new teacher and ask for help. She did not know how, but she had to try. She could not let Aunt Mayowa destroy her future. And so, with this tiny spark of hope, Bimbo drifted off to sleep, dreaming of a better tomorrow. The sun was just beginning to rise when Bimbo slipped quietly out of bed. She wanted to leave the house before Aunt Mayowa woke up, so she would not be given more chores to do. Bimbo knew that if she was going to find a new teacher in town, she needed to act quickly and quietly. She tiptoed through the dark hallway, careful not to make any noise. Her heart raced as she passed by Aunt Mayowa's room, but there was only silence behind the closed door. Bimbo hurried outside, breathing a sign of relief as she stepped into the cold morning air. The town was still waking up, and the streets were mostly empty as Bimbo made her way to the place where she had heard the new teacher was staying. She did not know exactly where to go, but she asked a few people along the way, and they pointed her in the right direction. Finally, Bimbo reached a small, simple house near the edge of town. She hesitated for a moment, feeling nervous. What if the teacher could not help her? What if Aunt Mayowa found out and punished her? But then, Bimbo remembered why she was there. She needed to do this for herself, for her future. She took a deep breath and knocked on the door. After a few moments, the door opened, and a woman with a small smile appeared. She looked to be in her mid-30s, with gentle eyes that seemed to understand everything at once. Bimbo felt a little bit of her fear melt away just by looking at her. "Hello, can I help you?" the woman asked kindly. Bimbo swallowed and nodded. "Good morning, madam. My name is Bimbo. I heard you are a teacher, and I need your help." The woman's expression softened even more. "Come in, Bimbo. My name is Mrs. Eze. Let's sit down and talk." Bimbo stepped inside the house, feeling a strange sense of comfort she had not felt in a long time. Mrs. Eze led her to a small sitting room, where they both sat down. "Now, tell me what is on your mind," Mrs. Eze said gently. Bimbo took a deep breath and began to tell her story. She spoke about how her parents had to leave the country for work, how she was left in the care of Aunt Mayowa, and how her life had turned into a nightmare. She explained how she was forced to stop going to school, how she was made to sell goods in the market every day, and how she missed her old life. As Bimbo spoke, tears filled her eyes, but she did not stop. She told Mrs. Eze everything, not holding back any of the pain she had been carrying. When Bimbo finished, Mrs. Eze looked at her with a mixture of sadness and determination. Bimbo, she said softly, you have been through so much, more than any child your age should have to bear. But I want you to know that you are very brave for coming here today, and I am going to help you. Bimbo felt a surge of hope. You will? Mrs. Eze nodded. Yes, I will. Education is your right, and no one should take that away from you. I can see that you are a smart and strong girl, and I want to help you continue learning. But how? Bimbo asked, wiping her tears. Aunt Mayowa won't let me go back to school. Don't worry, Mrs. Eze reassured her. I will teach you here on my own. You can come early in the morning before you go to the market, and in the evenings when you finish your chores. It won't be easy, but if you are willing to work hard, we can do this together. Bimbo's heart swelled with gratitude. Thank you, Mrs. Eze, I will do whatever it takes. And so, from that day on, Bimbo started a new routine. Every morning, she woke up before dawn and quietly left the house to go to Mrs. Eze's. There, she spent an hour or two learning maths, English, and other subjects before heading to the market. Mrs. Eze was patient and encouraging, helping Bimbo understand things she had missed in school. In the evenings, after finishing her chores, Bimbo would return to Mrs. Eze's house to study more. Have you subscribed to our channel? Kindly show your support by subscribing to our channel. Enable the post notification bell so you don't miss any of our updates. Like and comment. Thank you.